to ensure that there are jobs to come back to? Will the Liberals stop blocking private sector investment that would cushion the blow and allow pipelines to be built?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I too, in the name of all Canadians, congratulate the brave firefighters and first responders who've been there to do extraordinary work through these terrible blazes in Fort McMurray. I want to congratulate as well all the MPs from all parties, particularly the Leader of the Opposition, who've been very strongly engaged on the ground supporting their fellow citizens. I want to congratulate all Canadians who across the country came together to give incredibly generously to the people of Fort McMurray through the Canadian Red Cross and in other ways. And I'm pleased to confirm, Mr. Speaker, that I will be going personally to Fort McMurray on Friday to offer support for all Canadians.
The honourable member for the Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, Alberta has been hit hard by many factors beyond its control. The low price of energy and natural disasters have left thousands out of work. One thing we can control, though, is ensuring that the private sector is able to bounce back. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister has added additional red tape and unnecessary hurdles to pipeline approval projects. His new term, social license, is actually just political license. Can the Prime Minister assure energy workers that he will not allow special interests and politics to block important pipeline projects?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that after 10 years of failing to get pipelines built at Tidewater, the Conservatives opposite still don't understand that the only way to build pipelines in the 21st century is to demonstrate the community support, the partnership with Indigenous peoples, and the strong science that is going to demonstrate that we understand that environmental protection and economic development go hand in hand. It's not an either-or choice. That's what Canadians have elected us to do, and that is what we're working hard to get done.
Member for Regina Capel.
He keeps forgetting the 4 major pipelines that were approved by this government, and he forgets about the additional political hurdles he's added. Mais au sujet de leur voyage à Washington, nous savons qu'ils disent, nous savons les messages qu'ils transmettent. Nous savons que toutes les réunions bilatérales sont importantes.
Bilateral meetings are important, including the recent meeting in Washington. What Canadians are concerned about are the Prime Minister's priority. There's a limited number of seats around the table, and the Prime Minister took his fundraisers and his in-laws, but he left his Minister of Natural Resources at home. How are these people more important than his Minister of Natural Resources? The Honourable Prime Minister. For 10 years, Mr. Speaker, the former government had only one concern with the United States, and that was pipelines. And unfortunately, that hurt relations with the United States, and our country has suffered economic development, and it has affected the work of our businesses and our entrepreneurs. The reality is that we need to rebuild this relationship. It takes a lot of energy. We have started that effort full force, and I was touched that President Obama personally invited my mother and my in-laws to be part of this great meeting of two families. The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, nobody believes that President Obama on his own decided to invite the Prime Minister's in-laws. Nobody believes that President Obama on his own decided to invite Liberal Party fundraisers. We know, Canadians know how these kinds of official events work. Does the Prime Minister deny that it was his office that sent the White House the invitation list for this state dinner?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Yet again, the party opposite has demonstrated that it has very little understanding for the strong friendship between Canada and the United States. And I can say that on top of the official delegation seats that we were allocated, the President and his office insisted that we add to it my mother and our in-laws, because it emphasizes the relationship. These were extra seats that the President made available, not in the official delegation that we provided.
Our members are enjoying this exchange, but let's make sure that we can all hear, including the Speaker. Let's make sure we can all hear both the questions and the answers, please. The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, is the Prime Minister sure that they just added in his laws, his in-laws, and didn't just drop the natural resource ministers to make it? And, you know, it's not about whether some of these people paid back the cost of their flights. It's about the fact that they were there at all. For example, the Prime Minister's party fundraisers were granted privileged access to high-ranking U.S. officials. Now, that's not a bad deal. Repay the cost of a commercial flight, and you get to meet with connected Washington insiders. But do you know who wasn't there in Washington, Mr. Speaker? Do you know who wasn't there to promote his portfolio? Do you know who wasn't there at the table to promote Canadian businesses? The Natural Resources Minister.
Right Honourable the Prime Minister.
Yet again, Mr. Speaker, we see that the members' offices simply do not understand how important the relationship with the United States actually is. How working together across broad portfolios, creating the kind of interactions and strength between our two countries that Canadians rely on every day to move goods and services across the border, to find markets for their produce and products. These are the things that for 10 years the members opposite failed to get done, and that's why we are working hard to grow Canada's economy and friendship with the United States.